Let's bring in Key Square Group founder and Trump donor, Scott Bessent, who was at the Economic Club of New York for Trump's remarks today. President Trump wants to restore the opportunity because he believes in American exceptionalism. You were there. How'd he do?
He did great. I was sitting right to his left, had previewed the speech earlier in the week, and I tell you, it was a masterclass. Originally, he was going to talk for 35 minutes. He got on a roll. It was an hour and 15 minutes. I could see a lot of it was all teleprompter. And as you mentioned, he took questions from 4 members of the Economic Club of New York, 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats, so not necessarily friendly fire. And he laid out a definitive vision for Trump 2.0. And Kamala Harris, Hayden-Harris, could never do this. She's an economic illiterate. The president of the Economic Club of New York said, we have invited both candidates, and we have not heard from Vice President Harris yet. And I suspect you will not hear from her because she has no expertise on this. She has no vision. We don't know who has been running policy in the U.S., as Joe Biden became mentally infirmed. But it would be the same, kind of shadowy people who are handing the Kamala Harris her talking points, but won't let her come out and say what she thinks, if she thinks anything.
Scott, what I love here is these are policies that we've seen through history that actually work, that make people's lives better. Less regulation, which is limited government, lower taxes, letting you keep and spend more of your own money because you spend it better than the government. American energy independence, again, trying to get at inflation. What is your favorite part of this plan, though? Can you pick one thing that's the most important?
I think, Sean, what's interesting, President Trump said today, when I came in, I was getting my legs. I think he said he'd only spent 17 nights in D.C. when he arrived for Trump 1.0. And, he's really got his groove here. And I think it's the melding of economic policy with national security. Economic policy and national security are now inseparable, and Donald Trump understands that. In the 80s, the Soviet Union was our military nemesis, but they weren't an economic power. When we were dealing, we're dealing with Japan, we're dealing with the Europeans, we're dealing with Latin America. Now, our biggest military threat is also the second biggest economic power. And what I like about all aspects of this is taking us out of this very fragile situation we're in, high deficits. What would we do if we had to leverage up to fund a war? The energy production declining or not growing as quickly as it should. So, it's a formula for independence and energy and manufacturing, for getting our finances in order.
Right. $3.6 trillion budget deficit since the beginning of January 2023. And with that budget deficit, we have lost as a nation 100,000 manufacturing jobs. That's Kamala Harris, and that is Joe Biden.
We're paying $3 billion per day in interest. We paid several $100 million while President Trump gave that talk.
Before we get to that, we're going to get to that in a second. Yep. But I want to ask you about Kamala Harris has never seen a tax that she does not want to raise. Again, if you want less of something, you tax it, including the corporate tax rate, which she plans to pump up to 28% as part of her tirade against, corporations, people who employ Americans. And Goldman Sachs is warning that the plan could cut corporate profits by 5%, impacting everyone's investment. It's probably more than that, Scott.
In terms of corporate profits, sure it is, because it's going to impact animal spirits, it's going to impact confidence. And, look, when I was here last time, I think I said that the American economy was faltering, and now it's in the numbers. Employment is moving down, manufacturing is moving down. If you are not government or government adjacent healthcare and education, if you are not a manufacturer who's part of the green program, you are getting crowded out by this incredible debt, and it's not working. The President Trump said it, when he went through his 8 points. My shorthand for that is we have to re-privatize the U.S. economy. We are not France. France, the they're over 50% of the government and the economy. And that's the way this administration, a Harris, the 2.0 would take us.
Which gives you stagnation. So you mentioned this. We're paying $3 billion a day in interest on the debt. We're $35 trillion in debt. And I would say there's three ways really to deal with it. You can tax your way out, you can print your way out, or you can grow your way out, right? And what Donald Trump laid out, it seems like he has a plan to grow our way out of this problem, where Kamala has a plan that's either going to tax or print your way out, which means austerity and poverty for the American people.
Yeah, I've been saying to get to the election, they have injected the U.S. economy with steroids.
Yes.
And I've called it the steroid economy. And steroids, you look great on the outside for a while, but it kills you on the inside, your internal organs. And that's what we're seeing underneath the hood in the U.S. economy. But like once the sugar high, the steroid rush, the roid rage runs out, they want to put us on the ventilator economy. It's just muddle through, manage decline, and that's not the American people. The American people, we're not the European mindset. We're not the a Latin American mindset. We are entrepreneurs. We are business people. We want the next generation to do best. We want our fellow citizens to be taken care of.
Well, it is a stark choice. Hopefully the American people choose wisely in this election. Scott Bessent, always a pleasure to see you. Thanks for being with us. And in person, too. Yeah. And another great tie. You look great. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
Great to see you, Scott, always.